The Han calendar, which disappeared for over 20 years, has successfully advanced. When Yuan Ying returned to the Lu Yun Sect again during the mid-stage, everyone will have suitable reactions. After over 20 years, Han Li successfully escaped from the abyss of demons. After going through a small sect in Ningju, eastern Yuguo of Tianan, he learned about the events that have occurred in Tianan in recent years. After that, he left to spiritual artifacts and then vanished without a trace. Mei Cheng wanted them to recognize his identity. Are you talking about that person? It's that senior Han. Huang Yuanming's expression changed drastically upon being reminded. His face turned pale as he realized. The round-faced elder also came to the realization. He was equally shocked. Now, do the two brothers understand what the younger brother means? This senior is only second to the three major cultivators. That's why he was so generous. Hearing Brother Wang say this, there really is a 70 to 80% chance. However, whether or not it is that senior Han, it makes no difference to us. Even if we wanted to cling to someone, such high-level cultivators wouldn't even look at our family. This time, being able to obtain to top-grade magical artifacts is already an unexpected joy. It is likely also because this senior took pity on the destruction of Lin. It is probably because this senior is concerned about the destruction of the temporary situation on the face of the spring water. Only then was it given. Now let's talk about how Brother Jin is going to handle this. After a moment of silence, Huang Yuanming sighed and said, his words still contained a hint of helplessness. Although the opportunity is rare, an existence like Han Li's level is truly unattainable for them. Therefore, even though they feel regretful, there is nothing to regret about. Upon hearing Huang Yuanming mention Brother Jin, the other two elders also temporarily set aside the issue of Han Li's identity and turned their attention to Brother Jin. After all, the ownership of the magic weapon before them is the tangible benefit they can see and touch. The three immediately began a long discussion regarding the ownership and usage of Brother Jin. Not to mention that the three family elders' discussions, Han Li naturally did not know that he had already been recognized by those three old guys. He had long since appeared, over 100 miles away. This time, he had finally managed to come out from the spatial rift, and asked how he ended up in the Eastern Jade Kingdom. It was indeed a stroke of luck. After all, that weak point that broke through space. But there are unpredictable paths. Sometimes you find yourself in a place thousands of miles away. There's nothing strange about that. Kid, where are you planning to go next? Are you going to head straight back to the Lu Yun Sect? Don't forget, I asked you for the materials to refine the puppet. We're still short on some. They must be collected. Playing the role of the voice of the deity suddenly echoed in Han Li's mind. I naturally know about this matter. However, the materials you need are all rare and hard to find in this world. It's likely that even the entire southern heaven cannot gather them. This is not something that can be accomplished in a short time. Han Mi frowned slightly. He said helplessly, HMPH, do you think I can wait another 70 or 80 years? If the materials are hard to find, then let's take a trip to the main street. As long as you have enough on hand, what kind of rare materials can't be found? Let me make it clear to you. If you can't refine that puppet in front of me, I'd rather destroy the refining method then leave it to you after the panic subsides. Playing the role of the deity said somewhat regretfully, don't worry, Ajing. Don't worry, Ajing. I have to make a trip even if you don't say anything. Didn't you say before that I originally had too much malevolent energy? With the repeated use of the demon sword, I've already been deeply entangled in evil energy. If I don't remove it soon, it will not only gradually harm my body, but also make it difficult to progress in the future. I won't be able to advance in my realm at all. Just as I sighed, I said in frustration, you just need to know. When I first saw you, I found it a bit strange. You're so young. Ancient demon realm. As for those drum membranes that originally looked strange, they can be divided into two types. One type is the primitive demons from the ancient demon realm. They are the highest existence in the ancient demon realm. It seems they are referred to as something like the holy ancestor. Such demons are rare and few in number, yet none are without extreme terror. Even now, some demon cultivators practicing ancient demonic arts are still continuously summoning the names of these ancient demons. Only then can they borrow demonic energy to successfully cast spells. The other type consists of certain demon clans from our human realm, who, after practicing demonic arts, ascended to the ancient demon realm on their own. The original forms of these demon clans were not human. After becoming ancient demons, they naturally exhibit the same evil behaviors as other demons. How is that possible? How could they practice the ancient demonic arts? Right. Don't ask me about this matter. I am just as confused. That ancient text did not elaborate on this. It only seems that the ancient demon clans had contact with ancient demons much earlier than we humans did. I am not clear on the specifics. However, some high-level demon clans I saw in the past are no longer practicing any demonic arts now. They also do not possess any demonic energy. The reason behind it, perhaps you will know the answer when you reach the Great Realm in the future. After all, it can be preserved there. Some of the oldest classics in our world. The big-eyed deity lazily arrived. Han Li's expression was somewhat unpredictable. He recalled the piece in his storage bag. It is said to be the sacred treasure of the demon clan, the true saint fragment, the three-headed, six-arm technique on it. It seems to have been used on that drum membrane back then. The two-headed, four-armed, the techniques are extremely similar. Could there really be an unknown connection between the two? After silently pondering for a while, Han Li suddenly smiled. Even if there are secrets unknown between the demon clan and the ancient demons, what does it have to do with him? He is not the kind of person who meddles in others' affairs. He doesn't want to understand everything. Some things are better left a bit unclear. Moreover, the true saint fragment in his hand is just a shard. Even if there is a complete set of demon clan techniques, he wouldn't be idly practicing. What's the point of cultivating for no reason? Just achieving clarity is already a long way off. Who knows how many years it will take to cultivate to the extreme? Not to mention, since this technique involves a connection to the ancient demons and the demon clan, it is unlikely to be suitable for human cultivation. He shook his head. It is also unlikely to be suitable for human cultivation. Shaking your head. Demon-slaying combination. The matter of the fan saint needle has been put aside. Instead, I asked about another issue that I was more concerned about. You don't need to worry about the return of the ball. Whether I go to the big plan or not, I will naturally help you gather the materials. You mentioned to me a couple of years ago that you had already figured out the method for refining the 7-flame fan. By now, it should be completely resolved, right? If the refining method is already available, then you might as well hand it over to me for refining. My flying sword is short by 2 strikes, unable to set up a witness. I urgently need an arrow to suppress the enemy's treasure. Han and I did not beat around the bush. She stated directly. After more than 20 years of interaction, he and the big-eyed god have gained quite an understanding of each other. Their relationship has become much more relaxed than before. Sometimes it even feels somewhat like half-friends. In the method for refining the 7-flame fan, I will cut what materials are no longer available, replace what can be replaced, and come up with a method for you. As for whether it can truly succeed, I can't say I have complete confidence, but the treasure fan refined with this method, however, the treasure fan made using this method, actually, it can't be called the 7 goose fin anymore. It should be called the 3 wormeal instead, because this treasure originally required 81 medium fire attribute materials to be refined. Has it been changed to 31 types? Of course, its power has also decreased by more than half. Even when playing the deity, there was no concealment. It directly told Han Li the details. It's okay. Even if the power is somewhat reduced, it doesn't matter. The legendary Tongshan spirit treasure is indeed that powerful. This imitation 3-leaf fan is definitely not something ordinary decorations can withstand. Without a second thought, Han Li said, I have copied the refining method into the big sister's inner space. You can take a good look at it yourself. However, even though it's an imitation, there are still a few materials inside that are hard to find. I estimate that to refine it into charity, it will probably take quite a bit of effort, the big-eyed deity said lightly. Then, the copper lid of the bamboo tube behind Han Li opened, and a beam of white light shot out. Han Li, like a person with eyes on the back of their head, reached back and grabbed it. Catching it in his hand, it was a piece of white jade scissors. Han Li calmly immersed the divine stone into it. Taking a rough look at the jade scissors, he unconsciously frowned slightly. The other items were not a problem. Just take some time to gather them together, then refine them into forest materials. However, the Haoyang bird longlin and the red live pepper scales are things that are hard to come by. Where can we find them? At the very least, we haven't heard of these 2 materials appearing in Tianan. These 2 materials are already the easiest substitutes I can think of. Other things have no hope at all. Among them, the Haoyang bird longlin. I once saw young Li Zhu from the Yuyang Palace raising such a forest bird during my travels in the Great Jin. Now, after so many years, even if the original Haoyang bird is gone, there must be descendants left behind. You might as well go and ask around. As for the red live pepper, that depends on your luck. However, if you go to the Great Jin, it shouldn't be a difficult problem to solve. The Great Eye Spirit Lord said leisurely. Humph, after talking for so long, You still want me to make a trip to the Great Jin? I snorted in frustration. Hey, old man, sending you to the Great Jin is also for your own good. Feels somewhat helpless. Ha ha, old man is sending you to the Great Jin. It's also for your own good. Only after traveling to the Great Jin once. Can you truly understand what a sacred place for cultivation is? The Great Jin Kingdom is definitely the center of the known immortal cultivation world. The Great Eye God spoke without concern. I hope so. But before leaving the Eastern Jade Kingdom, there is still one thing to do. I must first take another look outside the Devil's Fall Valley. Han Lijiang encountered a ship, and calmly said, "To the Devil's Fall Valley? What do you mean by that?" The Great Eye God was startled by these words. He was somewhat surprised but relieved. I don't mean to cause trouble. Do you remember my Heavenly Duke mode? It also came out from the crack earlier. I immediately sensed through my secretary that this poem actually has no back. Naturally, I need to see if it is still left in the Devil's Fall Valley. Let's see if I can summon it out. After saying this, Han Li no longer wanted to speak. Suddenly, the pace quickened, transforming into a streak of blue and red that pierced through the air. Once he entered Changzhou, Han Li immediately re-entered the Wanchan Mountain, returning to the entrance of the Devil's Fall Valley. After Han Li wandered there for 2 days, Zhou Yu was certain that the demon master Taju was still alive in the valley. However, this demon master seemed to be trapped somewhere. No matter how Han Li urged with spells, he could not emerge from his predicament. Han Li spent most of the day, and could only leave there feeling somewhat frustrated. It seems he can only wait for the next time the Demon Valley opens. If this matter is not resolved, he will bring the Demon Master out again. 2 months later, Han Li's figure finally appeared near Yunmeng Mountain. Just as he approached the mountain gate of the Lu Yun Sect, he encountered several disciples of the sect on patrol. When these disciples saw Han Li, they naturally caused a commotion. They joyfully greeted Han Li, while hurriedly releasing sound transmission talismans to inform the 2 elders inside the gate. Before long, all the disciples of the Lu Yun Sect flew out from the gate to welcome the renowned ancestor Han Li. The elders leading the group were the honest old man and Lu Luo. When these 2 saw Han Li, they naturally had expressions of surprise and joy. As a result, the 2 did not say much, and hurriedly welcomed Han Li into the sect. Then they let the other disciples leave first, then let the other disciples go down first. Brother Han, I knew with your abilities, nothing would go wrong, but since everything is fine, why didn't you return to our sect earlier? It only made my senior brother and I worrying unnecessarily. In the main hall of the Lu Yun Sect, after Chang's senior brother and the others took their seats, they couldn't help but complain a bit in their happiness. If only you had returned earlier, it would have saved us from worrying so much. Lu Luo also said with a beaming smile, his joy coming from the heart. You 2 senior brothers have misunderstood me. I have been trapped in a spatial rift, unable to escape. I just got out of there. As soon as I freed myself, I rushed back immediately. Han Li pursed his lips, only able to show a helpless expression. No matter what, it's enough that Brother Han returned alive. Speaking of which, I haven't thanked you for saving me yet. If it weren't for your rescue in the valley, I would have turned into a pile of bones long ago. Rubbing his head, he stood up from his chair and bowed to Han Li, saying, "There's no need for that. Since joining the Lu Yun Sect, Chang's senior brother has always taken good care of me. I have always remembered this in my heart. Seeing senior brother Chen in danger, how could I not step in to save him?" Han Li smiled slightly. He said sincerely, "How can those small matters compare to the grace of saving a life? Junior brother, you must still be worried about your friend, right? Don't worry. Sister Nangong is still safe and sound in the ice." The old man clearly knew what Han Li was most concerned about. He first revealed this news to Han Li. Naturally, Han Li let out a sigh of relief upon hearing this. At this moment, Lu Luo suddenly scrutinized Han Li closely. Ji Yin showed a hint of disbelief on his face. "Junior brother, you actually advanced to the middle stage of Che. When did this happen? This is truly unbelievable. Did junior brother have some kind of fortuitous encounter in the Devil's Abyss?" Upon hearing Lu Luo's words, senior brother Cheng was also taken aback. He hurriedly used his divine sense to scan Han Li. As a result, he found the energy within him was restrained. The glow was clearly evident. It really looked like he had advanced to the mid-stage of the Yuanying. He couldn't help but stand there in a daze. "I knew both of you senior brothers had keen eyes. You could see it quickly. Junior brother indeed had a fortuitous encounter in the Devil's Abyss, and only after a period of hard cultivation did he advance. The reason for advancing so quickly to the mid-stage, however, it was something I didn't expect myself. But, if it weren't for knowing that Warner has 2 senior brothers to look after her, there wouldn't be any major issues. I have been trapped for so many years, and I have long been extremely anxious. How could I have the mind to calm down and cultivate? I have to thank the two senior brothers for this. I even sighed with emotion. I clasped my fists to the two of them, and expressed my words of gratitude. What you said, junior brother, is not true. Since the girl from Nangwo asked me to be the big brother to look after her, isn't that a matter of course? Moreover, the so-called care. Actually, as a senior brother, I haven't been able to help with anything useful. I can only let my junior sister be trapped in the army. I feel very ashamed. Senior brother Chang finally came back to his senses from the shock of Han Li's advancement. Upon hearing Han Li's words, he hurriedly said humbly, "Junior brother has not yet reached 300 years of lifespan, and has already advanced to the mid-stage of Yuan Yin. If this gets out, it will probably shock the entire Tianan. It seems that there's no need to mention the late stage in the future. Even advancing to the artifact wetland is also very likely. It is also very likely," Luluo couldn't help but say. His words were filled with envy. With Han Li's terrifying advancement speed, in the history of the cultivation world in Southern Heaven, there are probably only a handful of people who can compare. Such a cultivation speed has little to do with personal cultivation talent. Most of it depends on personal opportunities and fortunes. This is not something that can be snatched away. Han Li naturally humbly downplayed it a bit, then intentionally changed the subject. She asked about what happened after her disappearance. In the abyss of demons, the information obtained from those who personally witnessed the battle back then is naturally much more real than the rumors others catch. The old man, upon hearing Han Li's question, couldn't help but smile wryly. It turned out that when Han Li was swallowed by the spatial rift, the other drum membrane was extremely furious. Just when the old man thought his life was in danger, other cultivators happened to arrive. Although the cultivators who arrived first teamed up with Wei Waiu and the others, they still couldn't do anything against the other drum membrane, which had also transformed into a two-headed, four-armed form. Instead, it soon became extremely formidable at a critical moment. Instead, it quickly became extremely intimidating. At a critical moment, that group of Mulan people finally arrived. As a result, both sides managed to trap this demon together. After a fierce battle, the Mulan summoned by the woman with the surname Le expressed her heartfelt thoughts. They finally wounded the demon. Even that Mulan's divine master severed one of its heads. In the end, however, the ancient demon escaped. In this battle, several Yuanying cultivators were injured. Even Nangong Wan's senior sister was directly struck by a blast of demonic flames. During the ancient demon's final frenzy, even Yuanying turned to ashes. The situation for Ancestor Ling, who was slightly better, but his body was still destroyed. Only Yuanying managed to escape by luck. The unluckiest were still the cultivators of the Ghost Spirit sect. That androgynous elder was directly devoured after having their eardrum pierced. They were consumed entirely. The entire Ghost Spirit sect suffered severe losses. Aside from a few who managed to escape, the high-level cultivators were completely wiped out. It's hard not to be extremely surprised. What happened next was pretty much as Huang Yuanying had informed. They originally thought this demon would not be able to exist in the natural world for long. These people did not dare to take the risk to pursue and kill. But what was unexpected was that this demon didn't seem to have any intention of returning to the other world at all. Instead, it was rampaging in the south, devouring everything in its path. Ultimately, it provoked widespread anger and was besieged. Upon hearing this, Han Li furrowed his brows and asked, "Regarding the battle to besiege this demon, I have indeed heard some rumors from the outside world. There are all sorts of claims, but the two major sects and a Mulan Divine Master acted simultaneously. Could it be that they really failed to kill this demon on the spot? With the status of the two senior brothers, you should know the true outcome, right?" As he said this, Han Li's expression became serious. Thinking back to the ferocity of that demon, he still felt a wave of fear. In the battle to besiege this demon, neither of us participated. But according to the information that Meng Li received, that demon indeed suffered a fatal blow. However, it still managed to use some strange technique to escape the encirclement. Nevertheless, Master Ziyang and others kept pursuing it, wanting to eradicate the evil completely. As a result, they chased it all the way to the edge of the Mulan grassland. Because of the egg, the abrupt people's cultivator had no choice but to give up the pursuit. However, many years have passed. The eardrum has not appeared in Tianan. Moreover, the situation on the abrupt people's side is also calm. It seems this demon is not truly dead from severe injuries. It just crossed the Mulan Prairie to Dajin. The old man explained to Han Li in detail. Going to Dajin? Upon hearing this, Han Li's expression subtly changed, but he quickly returned to normal. Senior brother Cheng and Lu Luo naturally noticed that Han Li had something he didn't want to talk about. The two did not question him. After all, Han Li's current abilities and realm were far beyond what the two could compare to. Now, facing Han Li, they couldn't help but feel a hint of reverence. Han Li chatted with the two for a while longer about other matters. Finally, he mentioned that he had already found a good medicine in the abyss of demons. He needed to go to Nangong Wan to try to lift the poison curse. Upon hearing this, the two were overjoyed. If Nangong Wan could also return to normal, then their Lu Yun Sect would naturally become even stronger. They hurriedly lost interest in further conversation, and immediately accompanied Han Li to the Forbidden's area. At the entrance of the Forbidden's area, the two cultivators, Cheng Shixiu and the other, consciously stopped in their tracks. They said they would personally guard the dead area. They assured Han Li to rest easy. Just go ahead and lift the evil curse. Han Li was not polite. She thanked them with a word, then she walked in alone. Not long after, her figure appeared in front of the stone door of the secret chamber. She glanced at the stillness outside the stone door. Since the last time she left, it seemed there was no sign of being frozen again. It seems that Cheng Shixiu and the other were only suitable for the divine stone to probe Nangong Wan's temperament. They did not advance into the broken mirror. Indeed, this made Han Li feel even more satisfied with the actions of these two. With a pinch of his fingers, he quickly cast a series of spells. After the stone door flickered with spiritual light a few times, a soft sound was heard, and it opened. Han Li swiftly moved in, entering silently. The stone door fell again. Everything in the secret chamber remained as before. Because the ceiling was embedded with moonstone, it did not feel dark at all. Moreover, due to the presence of stillness, the room remained as clean as ever. The room has always remained as clean as before. Spotless. The ice wall shimmered with a faint spiritual light. Outside, Nangong was like a female model, still sealed within, eyes tightly closed, her face slightly pale. A trace of pity flashed across Han Li's face. She walked a few steps and stopped about 10 feet in front of the ice wall, gazing at Nangong's pale face. Her expression at this moment was complex. Standing still, she stared at Nangong, who was frozen in the ice. Not knowing how much time had passed, he let out a long breath. Suddenly, he slapped the fairy's storage bag. A jade box appeared in his hand out of nowhere. Holding the jade box in one hand, with the other hand, he gently flicked the lid. The lid immediately sprang open, revealing a thumb-sized crimson orb. It was the demon core of the matchstick beast. This demon core flickered with red light, appearing mysterious and splendid amidst its pure healing. Han Li squinted and carefully examined the demon core. After a while, she suddenly opened her mouth. A mass of azure spiritual energy wrapped around the waist. Then it dragged the waist and floated towards the ice arm. At this moment, a sudden sound of heavy rain was heard. A spell struck the ice arm. The ice arm flashed with blue light. The waist was unmistakably absorbed into the thick ice wall. The waist was unmistakably integrated into the thick ice wall. Flew to the edge of Nangong Wan's lips. Han Li calmly pointed at Nangong Wan. Nangong Wan's lips immediately resembled a puppet's, half opened. Taking this opportunity, Yaodan instantly flew into the jar. Suddenly, a faint red glow appeared on Nangong Wan's pale, bloodless face. But her eyes, covered with long eyelashes, remained tightly closed, showing no signs of awakening. Han Li sighed, knowing that this matter could not be rushed. Even if the demon pill was truly effective, it wouldn't be able to dispel the Wind Soul's sudden obstruction in just 10 days or half a month. However, Han Li did not leave immediately. He simply stood quietly in front of the wall, gazing at Nangong Wan in silence. For some reason, a stunning scene from their first meeting years ago floated into his mind. Time slowly passed by, and Han Li's figure remained motionless in front of the wall. After a long while, Han Li finally walked calmly out of the secret chamber door, reopening the stillness. He then retraced his steps back to the city. His chest and the guards still stood outside the Forbidden's area, and upon seeing Han Li come out, they naturally asked a few concerned questions. Han Li forced a smile. The chest and the falling leaves still guarded outside the Forbidden's area. Upon seeing Han Li come out, they naturally asked a few concerned questions. Han Li forced a smile. Just say that we need to observe for a few more days. Only then will we know if we can truly lift the soul-binding curse. Because of the continuous journey, Han Li was also somewhat fatigued. He did not continue to chat with the two. After parting ways with them, he returned to his own cave dwelling. Anyway, there is plenty of time ahead. If there are any matters, we can slowly discuss them in the days to come. Han Li then transformed into a streak of blue and red, heading straight for Mother Compassion Peak. In their earlier conversation, he had learned that although he had been missing for over 20 years, Dufu, under the strict supervision of the old man and Luluo, still maintained his original state. As for his world, Mu Piling had continued to reside within the peak of the child. The two old men had taken great care of her. Now, this woman had reached the realm of false solitude. It would only take about a year of effort before she could start attempting to take on orders. This was indeed an unexpected joy. Upon hearing this, Hanli felt a stir in his heart, and naturally recalled the matter of the peak accompanying employees. It is known that there are various elixirs that can increase the success rate of simple tasks. He still had quite a few of them. Moreover, this woman's talent could be considered exceptional, as long as he truly exerts all his strength to help this woman complete the transaction. This woman has at least a 70% chance of successfully completing the transaction safely. However, unexpectedly, amidst the descent into madness, another opportunity arose. Before this woman could complete the transaction, he broke through this bottleneck first. In this way, this is quite different from the original plan, but that's okay. Ding Feng's dual cultivation method with employees is also useful for breakthroughs in later stages. Of course, the depth of cultivation in this method must be deeper to be effective. This woman also needs to reach a later stage of cultivation to be useful. However, the original idea was to let this woman cultivate this method for decades, to harvest her body for its essence, then let her go as she pleases. This arbitrary thought has to change. After all, under normal circumstances, he might take 2 to 300 years to cultivate to the peak stage of the Mid-Yuan Ying, such a long time to let the children cultivate to the peak. This kind of method really needs to be nurtured properly. After all, the peak cultivation method is not a top-tier technique. Without assistance from the transaction, the peak accompanying employees is not a top-tier cultivation method. If there was no assistance from Shan, this girl has cultivated to the late stage of the foundation establishment realm in a short period of time. It must be very difficult, Hanli thought to herself. After a moment, she flew to the front of the maternal peak. Looking at the sea of clouds in front of the peak, Hanli smiled slightly. Her elegant robe fluttered. The thick sea of fog parted to create a path. She calmly flew towards the main peak. Everything in the cave abode remained unchanged. Even the part of the three-colored servants left behind when she departed. The golden pet remained condensed into a three-colored orb, hanging high in the middle of the hall, motionless. The Zhuanshan immortal vine planted in the medicinal garden, and the 9 bell were also intact, as if she had just left yesterday. As for the heart-wrenching remnants of the Zhuanshan, Hanli did not hold much hope for being able to revive him. However, the 9 linking was not to be underestimated. It was a spirit herb that had long been extinct in the outside world. Moreover, this herb had been spiritually connected for a long time, and it had even taken on a physical form that made it even more precious. If it weren't for the inconvenience of carrying this spirit meal, she would have really wanted to transplant this spirit herb to carry with her. Unfortunately, the ancient recipe she obtained now had not mentioned any pills made from the dead spirit. Unfortunately, among the ancient recipes obtained now, there has been no use of the undead body elixirs. He could only look on with longing. He decided to temporarily set it aside. Aside from the Lin medicine in the drug source, the right eggs of the 6-winged double bow, and most of them are golden insects. He also set it up when he left the assistant last time. He packed them in retail bags to take away together. There's no need to worrying about this. Even the 24 right eggs of the 6-winged double bow hatched on the way to the Jixi area not long after he left. But during the more than 20 years trapped in the spatial rift, that little flat could no longer produce green leaps. This time, the Lin insects remained at the larval stage, never advancing. Hanli packed them in a specially made retail bag, keeping them in a dormant state. This is somewhat regrettable. Now Hanli first placed that batch of evolving damp wipes back into a room dedicated to, then took out the specially made retail bag of the cold acquaintance, and walked next door. Originally, he raised 600 million double palaces in the dedicated room. He picked up the retail bag and gently pointed it at the door of the dedicated room. As a result, after a sweep of white light, more than 20 larval insects appeared in the center of the insect chamber. These 600 million male larvae have snow-white bodies, crystal clear. These 600 million pairs of public larvae have bodies that are snow-white, crystal clear. At this moment, there was no sign of the scarlet wings on him at all. It appeared to resemble a larger white blood silkworm. There was not the slightest hint of a terrifying struggle. When Hanli obtained the 6-winged double bow, he did not know whether these forest insects truly evolved by devouring each other through the grass. He only held a thought in his heart, but he did not expect that these forest insects really possessed such purification properties. This made him very happy. In the past, his original intention was simply to use the cold ore of this insect to cultivate the purple luo heavenly fire. However, after experiencing the battle at the ancient devil's post, Hanli had some other thoughts in mind. Although the golden insect was incredibly sharp, its flying speed was obviously a bit too slow. He feared that in the future, once it matured, it would still face significant limitations when dealing with some enemies that were exceptionally fast in their escape, or in certain situations, it would still be quite restricted. As for the six-winged double bow, the reason it could occupy such a high position on the list of strange insects was not only due to its terrifying cold air, but also its incredible speed, which was among the fastest of all forest insects. In the second stage, this insect's escape speed was not much inferior compared to other ordinary forest insects, but when it extended another pair of cicada wings, transforming into 4 pairs of red wings, the speed of the kitten is significantly increased, far surpassing the speed of ordinary magical artifacts. But the most terrifying thing is, once it evolves to the third consciousness, its speed can rank among the top 3 among all forest insects. It is said to be able to truly come and go without a trace, instantly traveling thousands of miles away. Of course, these descriptions are merely rumors recorded in ancient texts. Even in ancient times, there were very few spirit insects that could purify to 600 million. Hanli was only half convinced about this. However, the 6 Desires twin bow is undoubtedly an ancient spirit pet with astonishing speed. This point is beyond doubt. In the battle with Gumo, Hanli certainly suffered greatly from the opponent's ghostly movement technique. Naturally, he thought of cultivating the 6-winged twin bow to its peak as well. Moreover, after reaching the 6-winged stage, the cold air spewed from the larvae's mouth naturally becomes increasingly fierce. This is also beneficial for his cultivation of the Ziluotia fire. With such thoughts in mind, Hanli naturally looked at these 6-winged twin bow larvae differently. Seeing how these larvae looked at differently, seeing these larvae, the new environment didn't seem to reject him. Hanli felt a sense of relief in his heart. Just as he wanted to observe for a bit longer, suddenly his expression changed. He glanced toward the gate of the Dong residence. It seemed he sensed something. Then his eyes flickered. A beautiful robe and a beam of white light shot out, and Silver Moon appeared charmingly before him. Mupilin had already arrived outside the door. You go and bring her to the hall. I happen to have something to discuss with her, Hanli instructed. The master never asked too many questions. The attendant responded and transformed into a streak of light, disappearing from the spot. Hanli then reorganized himself and calmly returned to the hall. Moments later, Hanli was seated in the main seat of the hall, resting his chin on one hand, motionless, as if lost in thought. At that moment, soft footsteps sounded at the entrance of the hall. Music walked in cheerfully ahead, and after many years, Mupilin followed in as well. This woman still looked the same, or rather, she was even more stunning and charming than before. The previously cold aura around her had diminished significantly, but she had gained more. However, more exuded a sense of ethereal elegance like orchids in a secluded valley. See you, young master,